Greetings, everyone. Do you know how to enter a meditative state anytime, anywhere in your daily life? Today, I will share with you 2 dynamic meditation techniques that will help you realize the true essence of meditation. You will come to understand that at any moment, in any place, meditation is always possible. When your life successfully transitions into an entirely new dimension, you will no longer be the person you once were. You will gradually experience a deep sense of peace and complete joy in every present moment while also opening yourself up to greater inspiration and wisdom. Listen carefully to today's content, trust me. This will be one of the most powerful tools on your journey to self-improvement. If you practice the techniques I share for a period of time, you will notice a profound transformation within yourself. One of the biggest concerns in today's world is the gradual decline in our ability to focus. The inability to control thoughts and emotions as they constantly arise is a direct result of a lack of concentration and a lack of freedom in moment-to-moment awareness, or in other words, a weak meditative foundation. This is why more and more people are turning to meditation in hopes of calming their minds. But why is it that so few people can truly maintain a high-quality meditation practice every day? The reason is that we haven't fully grasped the true nature of meditation. And as a result, we often turn it into a rigid ritual, something mystical and overly formal. To become a true meditation practitioner, you must first break free from the fixed ideas about what meditation should look like, such as sitting cross-legged in a specific place, closing your eyes, placing your hands in a particular mudra, lighting incense, playing music, or wearing special clothing. If you believe that meditation can only happen when all these external conditions are met, then you have already gone down the wrong path. Seated meditation is undoubtedly a valuable practice. But if it is disconnected from mindfulness and awareness in everyday activities such as eating, dressing, sitting, walking, and lying down, it loses its true meaning. In that case, it may be difficult for you to achieve a real breakthrough in your meditation journey. It is essential to understand that, from the perspective of genuine spiritual practice, meditation is not about carving out a small window of time amidst a chaotic and unconscious life to sit and meditate. Instead, what we truly need is to live with mindfulness and embody a meditative state throughout our daily lives. Seated meditation is like a tree, but living in meditation is the path. Once you truly realize the essence of meditation, you will no longer be confined by time or space. Meditation will seamlessly integrate into your everyday life, allowing you to enter a meditative state anytime, anywhere, into the realm of meditation, into a state of selflessness. Only upon reaching this level can meditation truly transform your life in the deepest way possible. Now, I will share 2 techniques to help you meditate anywhere, anytime. The first method, comprehensive awareness. Just as we can observe the arising of thoughts and automatic reactions of the mind, we can also observe and perceive the external world. But do you remember what I once said? Inner observation is about awareness, not about turning inward to analyze. This means you must use your full awareness to observe, not using intellectual thinking to look inward or outward for analysis, understanding, or judgment. From this perspective, when we engage with the external world, most of the time, we are not in a state of pure awareness. Instead, we unknowingly fall into the trap of mental conditioning without realizing it. This happens because the moment you see, hear, or touch something in the external world, your mind automatically forms habitual responses. In the very first instant of perception, you unconsciously add many personal concepts and interpretations to the experience. Those very thoughts consume your awareness in an instant. This is why there is a saying, when you are admiring a flower, be careful, because a part of your energy might already be drawn into it. Let's use the act of admiring a flower as an example. Imagine you are walking down the street and suddenly notice a beautiful flower blooming by the roadside. Its vibrant colors catch your attention, making you stop and take a closer look. At that moment, thoughts begin to arise. Wow! This flower is so beautiful. This is exactly my favorite color. Why is there such a lovely flower growing here? What is the name of this flower? Is it wild, or did someone plant it? Then, another thought follows. What a shame. Such a beautiful flower will wither soon. From a single flower, your mind has now generated countless thoughts. You need to understand that every thought is a transformation of your conscious energy. The moment you identify those thoughts as your own, that is the moment your awareness begins to dissipate. Now, imagine if that flower were not growing by the roadside but instead appeared in the garden of Lin Dayu, a character known for her melancholic and poetic nature. The outcome might be the iconic scene of Lin Dayu burying fallen flowers, an image both romantic and sorrowful. In reality, this is an unconscious act, entirely controlled by deeply ingrained patterns of thought. Lin Dayu's sorrow is the suffering that arises when conscious energy loses its freedom, leaving a person trapped in a small, sorrowful sense of self. What I want to emphasize is this: if you admire a flower in this way, then in reality, you are not observing the flower. The flower is drawing your attention and absorbing your awareness. At that moment, the flower has become a medium that pulls in your conscious energy. And without realizing it, your awareness slowly fades as you gaze at it. Today, we use a flower as an example. But in truth, this applies to everything in the external world. No matter what you encounter, you must maintain awareness and mindfulness as you observe, perceive, and engage with it. This is precisely what we need to cultivate. When you use your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body to interact with anything, always remain aware of your thoughts. Try not to let your mind interfere, avoid attaching definitions or judgments. And don't even describe what you perceive. Instead, simply keep your mind still and observe with pure awareness. What you need to experience is a state of complete focus, free from thoughts and distractions, just the pure, vivid presence of your consciousness. This practice of full awareness is, in fact, a form of mindful dynamic meditation in daily life. You can practice it multiple times throughout the day. Anytime and anywhere you feel comfortable. You can observe a leaf, an ant, a tree, a fish swimming in a tank, a glass in your hand, children playing nearby, passers-by, or even the patterns on the surface of your desk. Anything, whether randomly appearing or always present in your life, can become an object of practice. Even if each session lasts only a few minutes, these moments will be crucial in allowing your awareness to be truly free and fully present in the now. This moment is a significant step in processing and elevating your inner consciousness. You need to focus on observing and sensing small details that you would normally overlook, such as the veins, shape, and dryness of a tree branch, the movement of ants, the shifting and transformation of clouds, the way leaves drift in the wind, the texture of tree bark under your fingertips, the sound of the breeze passing your ears, or the words and gestures of young children. At this point, you will realize that you can see and feel so much more than you ever noticed before. Remember, throughout this entire process, you must completely let go of thinking, release all thoughts and judgments. Have no concepts in your mind. Forget even the names of things. And simply observe and feel. This seemingly unconscious action is, in fact, one of the most effective methods of practicing dynamic meditation. After discussing the first method of dynamic meditation, complete awareness, we will now explore the second method, complete action. If the first method teaches us to intentionally pause in our daily lives to practice meditation, then the second method focuses on transforming repetitive, everyday activities into opportunities for meditation practice. Let's consider how many tasks in daily life you perform repeatedly, either every day or several times a week. For example, eating, sleeping, washing your face, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, making tea, using the restroom, going for a walk, exercising, driving to work, picking up your kids from school, or doing household chores. If you observe closely, you'll notice something interesting. Why is it that when performing these familiar tasks, things you can do almost automatically without much thought, your mind is constantly racing? Here, a paradox occurs. Your body is engaged in action in the present moment. But your awareness is no longer there. Instead, your consciousness is caught up in an endless stream of thoughts. A body that moves without awareness, simply repeating habitual actions unconsciously, is no different from a wooden puppet, right? Yet, this is the daily reality for many people, which is why so many feel trapped and overwhelmed by their own emotions. Take eating as an example. We have been eating for years, even decades, yet most of us still do not truly know how to eat in a mindful way. Our eating pace and rhythm are entirely dictated by the thoughts running through our minds. We do not fully taste our food, nor are we aware of when we have eaten enough. The root cause of this is our lack of attention to the act of eating. Instead of focusing our awareness on the meal, our thoughts consume our attention, pulling us into the past or future, leaving our body to function on autopilot in the present. Remember, any thought that arises has the potential to trigger an emotion. If you think about the past, about things that have already happened, you will feel sadness, melancholy, or even depression. If you think about the future, about things that have yet to happen, you will feel anxious, uneasy, and fearful. That is why, in the daily tasks we are so familiar with that they require no conscious thought to complete, we can practice detaching from the stream of thoughts and fully anchoring our awareness in the present moment. This is the second method of dynamic meditation that I want to share with you: complete action. The practice is simple. When you engage in an activity that doesn't require step-by-step thinking, consciously separate yourself from unnecessary thoughts. Do not allow distractions to creep in, just focus entirely on the act itself. Take showering as an example. Ask yourself, do I really need to use this time to think? More often than not, the thoughts that arise while showering are repetitive, unproductive, and sometimes even amplify stress and negative emotions. The answer is no, so instead, Transform your shower time into a meditative moment. Moreover, true wisdom and inspiration often arise when the mind is empty, not when it is constantly overthinking. While showering, direct all your attention to the sensation of water touching your hair, face, and skin. Feel your hands gliding over your scalp and body. Notice the temperature of the water, the texture of the soap, the way the water flows from the shower head. Listen to the sound of the water as it cascades around you. At the same time, remain mindful of any sudden thoughts that arise. The moment you notice the thinker reappearing, do not judge it or try to push it away. Simply acknowledge it and gently bring your attention back to your body, back to the present moment. And continue immersing yourself in the process of showering. This repetition applies not only to showering but to any daily activity. When you can integrate this state of full presence into your everyday life, you will realize that the moments when you used to be lost in chaotic thoughts or negative emotions can now become incredible opportunities for meditation. You don't need to abandon everything or search for a quiet place to meditate. Right within your daily repetitive tasks, you can practice detaching from thoughts, entering a state of mindfulness, and experiencing deep inner stillness. This is the best way to train your ability to stay centered and fully present in reality. Of course, it is difficult to change lifelong habits overnight. That's why I recommend setting aside 1 day per week as a mindfulness meditation day. On this day, try to apply the practice of detaching from thoughts to your daily activities. Alternatively, each day, you can choose just one routine activity, such as eating lunch, showering, walking, or brushing your teeth, and commit to doing it with full awareness. Before starting that activity, remind yourself, I am about to have a mindful meal, or I am about to shower with mindfulness. By dedicating just one daily task to complete awareness, you will realize that true practice is not found in distant places but in the smallest details of everyday life. Everything begins with the simplest actions. Once you have trained long enough and can freely enter a state of complete awareness and conscious action, your seated meditation practice will become much easier and more enjoyable. At that point, you will truly understand the words of Lao Tzu. Only by letting go of all desires can one witness the profound mysteries of the universe. The ultimate truth of meditation. Finally, I want to emphasize an important point. Today, there are countless meditation techniques, each with its own variations. But remember this one core principle. The more complicated and mystical something sounds, the further it is from the truth. Many teachings remain trapped in words, never leading to real transformation. If meditation were to be summarized in a single sentence, it would be, detach from the stream of thoughts and consciously connect with the boundless stillness beyond the limits of the mind. It is in that space that profound transformation happens, and your sacred awareness is awakened. A deeper look into the Diamond Sutra. If you have stayed with me this far, I will now introduce you to the profound wisdom of the Diamond Sutra. Many people have read it multiple times, even memorized it, yet still struggle to live a truly fulfilling life. Be patient, and I will guide you through a complete, clear understanding of the Diamond Sutra and its true wisdom. There is an ancient saying, true teachings can be conveyed in a single sentence, while false teachings fill endless volumes. The highest truth is direct and simple, not overly complex. I will explain the Diamond Sutra in a way that is easy to grasp so you can truly absorb its essence. If you genuinely understand it, then you are already very close to enlightenment. At its core, the entire Diamond Sutra revolves around a single concept: emptiness, sunyata. This is the supreme method that allows us to break free from attachment to the self. The essence of the sutra can be summed up in 4 key statements. Let's start with the first. If a bodhisattva clings to a sense of self, a sense of person, a sense of living being, or a sense of lifespan, then they are not a bodhisattva. So, what does this mean? A sense of self, what's technically called Atma Rupa, means clinging to the idea that I am a fixed, permanent thing. It's seeing your body, made of these constantly shifting pieces, as you, or believing that your ever-changing thoughts and feelings are your mind. This leads to a powerful ego and all kinds of distinctions. Because of this delusion of a self, we cling to it ignorantly, and that creates wrong views, cravings, and arrogance. Wrong view is thinking you're always right, that only your perspective is the truth. Self-love is putting yourself first, caring about your own interests above everything else. Self-arrogance is being conceited, not admitting when you're wrong, even if you're clearly inferior to someone else. A sense of person, Pudgala Rupa, is drawing lines between us and them. When we meet people we like, we get close. When we meet people we don't like, we push them away. This creates boundaries between groups, conflicts between races, and wars between countries. This prevents humanity from living together in peace, and makes it hard for the world to be stable. A sense of living being, Sattva Rupa, beyond you and those around you. There are countless different living beings in the world. Because of different circumstances and life experiences, they might be rich or poor, good or evil, healthy or weak. These differences are the sense of living being. A sense of lifespan, Ayas Rupa, is clinging to the idea of your own long-lasting existence. Human life is short, just a few decades, but everyone wants to grab onto eternity. Especially those who have achieved fame and success. They have status, wealth, and don't want to leave this world. Emperors of the past always longed for immortality. Think about the old idea that the worst thing you could do was die without leaving an heir. A way to kind of cheat death by passing on your genes. Some people want to pass down their career to maintain their reputation. All of these are examples of a sense of lifespan. These 4 senses, or forms, cover all phenomena in the world. If you cling to them, you're not a bodhisattva. But the thing is, even though they're called 4 different forms, they all come back to one thing: Atma Rupa, the sense of self. That's the root of all our problems. We love our bodies, our status, our careers, our families, so we're always worried, afraid of losing them, and unable to be at peace. This suffering comes from craving. When bad stuff happens, we feel resentment, inner unrest, anger, and pain. That suffering comes from hatred. When we see someone else get recognition, even if it doesn't affect us, we still get a little bothered. That's suffering from envy. When someone insults us, our ego gets bruised. That's suffering from arrogance. The message of the Diamond Sutra is that to get rid of our suffering, we need to ditch the sense of self, destroy the ego, and reach a state of no self. That doesn't mean you cease to exist. It just means you let go of clinging to this idea of you in your mind. When someone criticizes you, and you get hurt, or blame your circumstances, that's just your ego trying to protect itself. We care way too much about what other people think. A lot of folks live their whole lives trying to please everyone else. They have to show off their happiness to others for it to even count as happiness. They can't handle being misunderstood or criticized. And their moods swing up and down depending on what other people think. That's because they haven't truly understood what it means to have no self. They haven't grasped the truth about life. Keep your heart steady, and focus on controlling yourself. You can't control what other people say, but you can control your own thoughts. If you want to help others, you have to be ready to take on challenges. Learn to let go of your own ego, the bigger that inner ego is. The harder it will be to help others. All you can do is work on yourself. You can't force others to think or act how you want. The only thing you can do is break out of your own prison. Get through those challenges, and destroy those attachments. That's how you escape the endless cycle of suffering. Key changes. Cultural references. Avoided more obscure cultural analogies, like the Lin Dayu example, in favor of those more easily understood by Americans. Colloquialisms. Used more everyday language, bad stuff. Ditch. That's the root of all our problems, to make it feel more relatable. Simplified explanations. Broke down the concepts in a more straightforward way. Avoiding excessive jargon or overly complex sentence structures. Personal tone. Kept the you-focused approach to help the listener feel directly involved. Direct questions. Added questions to keep the audience engaged. So, what does this mean? What does that even mean? More relatable analogies added familiar concepts, like the inherent love of money, to make it feel closer to home. The core message of the Diamond Sutra is to destroy the illusion of self, to break free from clinging to the ego, and to achieve a state of non-self, or anatta. Non-self doesn't mean you cease to exist, or that you're not real. It means letting go of the attachment to that me inside. When you get criticized, and you feel hurt or start blaming the world, that's just your ego kicking in to protect itself. We worry way too much about what other people think. So many folks live their whole lives just to please others, trying to get that validation. Their happiness is all about showing off for others. Like it doesn't count unless everyone else sees it. They can't handle being misunderstood or getting negative feedback. And their moods swing up and down depending on what people think. That's because they haven't truly understood no self. Haven't really grasped the truth of life. You gotta keep a steady heart. And focus on mastering yourself. We can't control what others say. But we can control our own thoughts and reactions. If you really want to help others, you need to be ready to take on all kinds of struggles. Learn to let go of that ego, the bigger it is inside. The less you can actually do for others. All you can do is train yourself. You can't force people to think or act how you want them to. The only thing you can do is break free from your own prison. Get past those challenges, and shatter those attachments. That's how you escape the never-ending cycle of suffering. The second core statement is, all who seek me by form, or seek me by sound, those people walk a false path, and cannot see the thus gone one, Tathagata. What's that about? Well, lots of people go to temples and immediately start lighting incense, bowing down to Buddha statues, They figure that if they burn a stick of incense, the Buddha is gonna grant them good luck. But that's totally wrong. In reality, many people light incense and worship the Buddha not because they're seeking enlightenment, but because they want their own desires to be fulfilled. They're praying for wealth, fame, power, hoping for things that they don't deserve or that weren't meant for them. If someone didn't bother to improve themselves, but could get everything they wanted just by burning a few sticks of incense, well, what would be the point of striving for anything? If you actually have the thus gone one, Tathagata, in your heart, then you can connect with them anytime. It's like having a close friend. If you're already close, you don't need to bow down all the time. But if you don't have the thus gone one in your heart, then it won't matter how often you pray, it won't do you any good. So who is the thus gone one? Anyway, it's your true nature. That you, inside that's already complete and perfect. When you have the thus gone one in your heart, you see your true self. So the Diamond Sutra's telling you to turn inward, to seek within yourself. Real prayer, real seeking, is all about looking inside. Too many people are complaining that the world doesn't give them enough. But they never stop to ask if there's something wrong with how they're seeing things, which causes them to miss out on opportunities that should be theirs. Seeking within is the core path of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. But reflecting on yourself doesn't mean blaming yourself. Instead, it means taking back the power that's always been inside. With great responsibility comes great power. The third core statement: the past mind cannot be grasped. The present mind cannot be grasped. The future mind cannot be grasped. What's that supposed to mean? Well, why can't we hold on to any of those kinds of thoughts? First, the past. What's done is done. It's over. No matter how much we long for it or regret it, we can't change it. It's like a glass of juice that's already spilled. You can't pick it back up. The only thing to do is pour another glass. Not just sit there and cry about it. Next, the present. We hear it all the time. You gotta live in the present. True. But get this. Time never stops. It's like a river that's always flowing. Day and night. If you try to grab onto this moment, it's going to slip right through your fingers. In fact, the moment you realize it, it's already over. It's already in the past. It's like that old story about trying to find a sword by carving a mark on your boat where you dropped it into the river. You know, it's like they say, looking for a sword on a boat which has already moved on. So what do? You jump into the river right away. Forget marking the boat and expecting the sword to come up. Finally, the future. What is the future? It's all the things that haven't happened yet. And because they haven't happened, it's full of endless possibilities. Everything you do, everything you say, even every thought you have right now will shape the future. So what good does worrying about it do? The Buddha is telling us that the past can't be undone. The future can't be predicted. And the present is quickly becoming the past. What matters most is living fully in each present moment. But listen, living in the present doesn't mean just chasing short-term pleasures, or being complacent and never thinking about the future. Zen Buddhism says, when hungry, eat. When eating, just eat. When sleepy, sleep. When sleeping, just sleep. That's what it means to live in the present. But we don't actually do that in our daily life. For instance, when you're on the toilet, you're scrolling on your phone. When you're eating, you're watching videos. And when you're in bed, you're glued to social media. Your mind is full of junk. even when you're trying to relax. So, what do we need to do? Mindfulness, or mindful meditation. You've probably heard of that. It's a way of practicing living in the present. It has two core things: awareness and acceptance. First, awareness is about understanding your mental state. If you're having a hard time feeling at ease, you can use mindfulness to help. Then, we need to accept everything in a non-judgmental way, whether it's joy or pain, without fighting it or running away from it. So if you're facing something uncomfortable, try to let it roll off you. It doesn't mean forgetting about the past, or giving up on planning for the future. But the important part is not dwelling in the past or making assumptions of what will happen before it's over. So be aware of yourself. Control your emotions, and you can live without suffering. Hopefully, these insights could benefit your spiritual journey. Think about it like this: a dream. When you dream something good, you're happy. When you have a nightmare, you're terrified. If you dream about amazing food, you might even drool in your sleep. But when you wake up, it's all gone. It was nothing. Or think about a reflection in a mirror. When you look in a funhouse mirror and see a crazy, distorted face, that image looks like you. But it's not really you. It's just an illusion, or like a soap bubble. Inside, it reflects all kinds of colors. But just a touch and pop, it's gone. It's like a shadow. It follows you everywhere, but it's not you. Like dew, when the sun comes up, it disappears instantly. People who sleep in probably don't even know it ever existed. There's an old saying, long days seem tough as the dew fades in the sunlight. And finally, lightning. It's so fast you don't even hear the thunder until it's already gone. All of those things are conditioned phenomena, things you can see. But they're impermanent. They come and go, like that whole cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, just like the changing nature of everything around us. So, what we need to do is take a wise approach and contemplate all things, so they can exist in accordance with their true nature. You need to accept that the world's constantly changing. If we stick to that mindset when we're facing whatever life throws at us, we won't cling to anything and we won't suffer. Think about it this way. When you're chasing something, if you understand that it's not real, that it's just a combination of factors that came together, and that even when you get it, it's still going to change, you won't be so attached to it. You won't become a slave to stuff. The stuff will actually work for you. Take someone chasing power. For example, when they reach a certain position, they get caught up in the dream of power. Start thinking that title is part of who they are, that it will last forever. But when they get blinded by greed, get caught up in corruption, eventually get arrested and are totally miserable. It's attachment that made them a slave to power. Or someone chasing wealth. When they build up a huge fortune, they get arrogant and reckless. When their investments go bad, they go bankrupt, are drowning in debt, and recklessly start scamming and stealing. It's attachment that turned them into slaves to money. But if someone loses something and understands that the nature of all things is impermanent, they won't get hung up on it. Even if they're sad, they'll accept the loss, let themselves feel the pain. So the pain doesn't last too long. They pick themselves up and move on. A lot of times, people are suffering not because of the loss itself, but because they can't accept their own suffering. They push it away, try to run from it, and the more they run, the deeper the pain gets. That's non-acceptance that creates an internal break, making the suffering way bigger than the initial loss. The right way to handle it is to let things happen. Because the world is impermanent. Let everything exist as it is. Happen as it's supposed to happen. And change as it will change. Don't fight it. Use a big heart to embrace everything. To accept it all. Then what's there left that can make you suffer? So, to recap, these 4 statements relate to 4 mental states. Getting rid of the attachment to your body as something solid. Establishing the right view of the world. Breaking out of 3 kinds of clinging minds. And letting go of all conditioned phenomena. Thanks for reading all the way to the end. Hopefully all these tips will serve your spiritual journey. Key improvements. More conversational. Phrases like, think about it like this, and, what's that about? Make it feel like a casual explanation rather than a lecture. Modern analogies. Used updated references and translated idioms directly to resonate with today's American audience. Simplified language. Made the sentences more direct and less formal. Emphasis. Used formatting like bolding to help certain phrases stand out. Summarizing statement. Added a recap paragraph at the end,